just didn't like this book, and that's that. Why, you ask? I don't know. I just didn't like it. My channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the 5 worst books that I read this year. Now, part of me feels kind of bad making a video like this because, of course, I mean, you feel bad. Somebody put their heart and soul into writing a book. I've been writing a book for like 8 years, so I know how difficult it can be, and I would be extremely sad if somebody put my book in their worst list. But I also recognize that it does happen because not everybody has the same reading taste, right? So some people love these books, some people dislike them. I am on the other end. So that being said, please do not come at me in the comments if you loved these books and I dislike them. It's okay. We're all allowed to have different tastes. It's fine. I'm sorry for yucking your yum, but it's gonna be okay. We can all have different tastes and still be friends here. It's fine. I don't think anything less of you if you liked a book that I didn't like. It's all good. It's okay. It's all right. And I do have to say that a couple of the books on this list, actually I think 3 of the books on this list out of 5 came from my girl Lala, because I read some of her favorite books from last year and I did not like them. So one of my favorite booktubers apparently do not have much in common with her reading wise because her favorites, my worst. So, but that's okay. I still love her. She can love those books and I cannot like them, and I still love her. So anyways, without further ado, let's get on into it. These are in order. So we're going to start off with number 5. So the 5th worst book that I read this year was The Haunting of Blackwood House by Darcy Coates. And now I do have another book that I haven't listened to yet. I bought these both on Audible, and they just sounded so good and I was sure that I was going to like them, so I picked them up, but I didn't really care for the first one that much, so we'll see. The second one that I bought is not in this series. It's a different series, so we'll see. But basically, this book is about a woman who purchases a rundown manor, which is haunted. So spoiler alert, it is haunted. So if you guys know anything about me and my reading taste, you know that I enjoy a haunted house story. I love anything to do with haunted houses. My novel that I'm writing is about a haunted house. And yeah, like that's my jam. That's my thing. So I was sure that I was going to really enjoy this one. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. And okay, it wasn't that I disliked the premise of the book. It was more of the character execution that I didn't identify with at all. I am more of a character-driven reader. I need to be able to identify with a character. And I just didn't with this character. Like, she is independent to a fault. I like to consider myself being an independent person as well, but she is independent to a fault. She will accept help from absolutely no one, to the point where it becomes a problem throughout the story, where she's making decisions that are so extremely stupid just because she doesn't want to accept her boyfriend's help. Which, I mean, like, that's your partner, right? You should be able to accept help from your partner, especially in a situation like this. Like, she moves into this freaky house. He's obviously worried about her, and, you know, he wants to help her in certain ways, and she just will not have any of it. She doesn't want him to buy her anything, like, even as a gift. She's just like, no, I don't want anything from you. She doesn't want his help at all, and it's just, she's putting herself in dangerous situations just because she doesn't want to accept help from her boyfriend. And it, like, that fact just overrode everything else for me. I was just so annoyed by her being like that independent that it's like becoming a problem, that I couldn't see past that to the story. And it bothered me. Because of that reason, I gave it a 3 out of 5, and I just did not care for it at all. So next one comes as a little bit of a surprise to me because I read another thriller by this author and I really enjoyed it, but that is Stephanie Perkins' The Woods Are Always Watching. I did not like this one for a few different reasons. So this is basically about a camping trip with two best friends before they go their own separate ways to college. And neither of them have really camped before. Like, they are going backpacking, and it's going to be like a few day trip. They are backpacking through, I don't know, some forest. And it's a little bit of a more difficult trip. So they have consulted with the one girl's brother, who is like an expert backpacker and has done this quite a bit, and they go on this trip. And of course, they start to be almost like stalked by something that they're not sure what it is. And a few different things started to happen, which is why I didn't like this book. So number one is the relationship between these two girls. We are told that they are best friends and they are going to be going on this trip together as a last hurrah, you know, to celebrate their friendship before they go their separate ways to college. But they really don't like each other, like at all. Very early on in the book, they start to bicker about the silliest things. And it just becomes apparent that they really don't even like each other. Like, I don't know why they're friends. They have nothing in common. The other just annoys each other all the time, and there's just nothing there. That even explains why they are friends in the first place, let alone how they've been friends all these years and consider each other best friends, okay? So that was the first thing that kind of distracted you away from the story. The second thing is that it was a really like slow going story, and then all of a sudden nowhere it ramped up and it was just extremely random. Like, the thing that had been stalking them came completely out of nowhere, made zero sense as to why this thing was even in these woods. It made no sense. And it didn't fit. There was no way that you could possibly like figure out the story as you were going along. And it almost felt like it was like the author taking the easy way out, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it without spoiling it for you, but it almost seemed as though she was really rushed to make this book, like as if her publishers were like, hey, this is the day I need the book, and she wasn't ready yet, and just kind of was like, okay, well, I don't know what else to do, so I'm just gonna end it this way. And it felt very rushed. I'm sorry, you guys, I have like a hair or something on my nose and it's just driving me nuts. It felt really rushed, and it just felt like not complete. And for that one, I gave it a 2 out of 5. So the next 3 books are from Lala, Books and Lala from Kayla, and they were some of her favorites from last year. So the first one is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. And Books and Lala loves this book so much. It's just one of her favorite thrillers, I think, of all time, and I just could not stand it. I gave it a 2 out of 5. And basically, once again, this sounds like something I should be into. This sounds like something I should be enjoying, but it was the execution of it for me that just didn't work for me at all. So I love like 90s horror movie, okay? Horror movies. I love that. And I love books to do with that. Books like the one by Goldie Moldavsky, The Mary Shelley Club, one of my favorite books, like one of my favorite thrillers. Absolutely love that one. And this one kind of was supposed to give that sort of vibe, and it just didn't for me. So basically we follow our main character who she obviously has some mental health issues, and she is struggling, right? But she is absolutely obsessed with 90s horror movies. Like, that is all she thinks about all the time, to the point where it's annoying as the reader, because that's just all the thoughts that are going through her head. She is relating every single thing in her life to a 90s horror movie. Anything she does in school, any project, anything, she relates it back to a horror movie, right? And she starts to kind of figure out that there is a horror movie coming to life with, like, around her in her town. And she can kind of like pick out the characters in her town as to like who's gonna be the final girl, who's gonna be the comic relief that gets killed in the silly way, and like who's gonna, like, that sort of thing. And she's figuring that all out. She's trying to alert the authorities to what's going on. And of course, everyone just thinks she's insane. And so she decides that she kind of has to stop this on her own. It is a very slow burn. And for the most part, this is why Lala likes this, because Lala loves books that are slow burners and that it's just like a lot of thoughts, like from the character. She loves that. I don't care for that too much. But that's what it is. Like, it's a lot of just the character thinking, and you're inside her head as she's just like noticing her surroundings are changing, and she's kind of just taking this idea and running with it. And she's getting paranoid about it, right? So that is about 75% of the book, is just being in this character's head as she's making these decisions. And then actual, like, I was gonna say adventure. Like, what's the word? Actual action actually starts to come within the last like 25% of the book, 20% of the book. So yeah, it just wasn't for me. It's not like this one was necessarily terrible. It's just, once again, a character that I can't relate with. And it was almost boring throughout the beginning of it, right? Like, it was just too slow of a burn for me, for the action to just happen all at once at the end. And I just didn't care by the end of it. I was just like, whatever. I don't even care what happens in this book. So next is Mrs. Death by Selena Godin. And this is another one from Kayla. And this one was just weird. Okay, so basically we have someone who is trying to basically write the story of death, as if death is a person, okay? So our main character, I think his name was Wolf, and he has his own kind of side storyline, but he's also trying to like chronicle death. And I will say, I read this like really close in tandem with House of Leaves, and so sometimes like there's a couple of characters that I get confused, and it's this character with a character from House of Leaves, and sometimes I get them confused because I read them really, really close, and I really liked House of Leaves, I'll say that. But yeah, so he's trying to chronicle Death's life as a person, and we're following his side story as well, and he has like a really tragic side story. And at the very beginning of the book, I really liked it. Like, the first couple chapters, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like this one, and like got into it, right? But then it turned really weird, and we have like some chapters that are from Death's perspective, and it's like poetry, which I'm not really into poetry whatsoever, so maybe I just didn't get it because of that. But it felt like it was really random. It felt like it was, you guys, my dog just jumped up here. So sorry if the camera was shaking, but yeah, like, it just felt really random, and I didn't know what was going on. Like, halfway through the book, I was like, what is happening in this book? I don't even understand what's happening. It was just all like, it was nonsensical. So for that reason, I gave it, what did I give it? I gave it a 1. I gave it a 1 out of 5. And the last book that we're going to talk about today is another one from Kayla. I'm sorry. And that is Tinfoil. Look at this. Can you see her? She just constantly has to be on mommy. Yes. Yes. Hi. Yes. Hello. Hello. My couch is like directly in front of me. Yes. Okay. Hello. And so she can't. If she's sitting here and I'm standing like directly over her, she can't. She just needs to be by mom. So this is my pretty little pup. This is Penny. Apparently she's not gonna let you see her face. Okay, Penny, get down. Get down. Okay, anyways, so Tinfoil Butterfly by Rachel Eve Moulton. This one, basically we follow a young adult woman who is making really weird decisions, not good decisions whatsoever, and she ends up being stranded alone on the side of a highway as it's about to start blizzarding, okay? And there's like nothing around. So she's walking and she comes upon this town, kind of, but it's like an abandoned town, okay? So once again, starting off, this is something I should be into, okay? But once again, it's the character that I did not identify with. She's making dumb decisions. Her personality is just not likable whatsoever, okay? And she meets this boy who wears this tinfoil mask, okay? And she comes to find out that this boy is being horrifically abused by his father, and they are the only two people left in this town, Okay, so she kind of comes to the point where she realizes that she needs to save him and help him and get him away from his father, which sounds like a nice thing to do for, you know, this character, and it is, but it's just the character herself. I don't know, like, she's, even towards the end, like, she makes a decision at the end where it would have been very easy for her and this boy to, like, get away easily. And it's almost as though it was a very obvious decision to me, and I was just like, why is she doing this? Why doesn't she just do this? And it's just like, it's almost as if the writer didn't know how else to end the story, and so she took this route and just hoped that nobody would catch on that the protagonist should be doing this other thing, if that makes sense. And so it was just unbelievable to me, and it just, I don't know, I just, for whatever, it also just made me feel icky, which I guess some might say is part of the point of a horror or a thriller, is to just make you feel off, which it definitely did, but I just didn't get any enjoyment out of that, out of the way I felt. I just felt like, oh, like I just felt almost like depressive in a way. Like it was just kind of, it just made you feel off. I don't know what else to say. It just made you feel off, and I didn't like it, and I gave it a 1 out of 5. And that's probably the worst review I can ever say. Like, I probably didn't review that properly whatsoever, but I just don't even really know how to explain like, sometimes you just don't like something because you just don't like it, and you can't even really put your finger on it as to why. It's just a feeling that it gives you, and you can't even really say exactly in coherent sentences why you didn't like it. So, best booktuber ever. I just didn't like this book, and that's that. Why, you ask? I don't know, I just didn't like it. So anyways, you guys, those are the 5 worst books that I read this year, and I wouldn't have read them if I didn't do my Reading Like Books and Lala challenge. So if you have not seen that video yet, go ahead and watch it. I'll have it linked either in an iCard or a description box or whatever, so you can check it out if you want to. But yeah, that is it for today's video. I will be back here tomorrow for another episode of Happy Holidays, where I'm uploading every single day up until Christmas. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye!